going to be installing some pin bushings today, and a lot of people have asked, well, how do you install those? You can super glue them. I don't really recommend doing that because if you ever have a bent pinned end and you need to change it in the field, it's really hard to get that loose without tearing up your arrow end. So what we're using is just the plastic that came over our arrows. And you take the plastic, you put it over the end. Don't pull it down tight like that because it'll just cut the paper or plastic. But you start your pin bushing in there just like that. Pretty simple. And just kind of pull your plastic up a little bit like that, and it'll just slide in there, and really low and really gently, and try to make sure your arrow's really straight. You just apply a little pressure and it goes right down on there and seats pretty good. Can you see it's going down there? A little closer. And then you just take and tear the plastic right around. Okay. And sometimes it leaves these little ends. You can just peel them off. What a lot of people do is take a lighter and just kind of melt it around a little bit. Don't hold it in the spot too long because it can mess up your carbon. So just kind of melt it and peel it back a little bit. Trim it off a little bit and pretty much clean it up a little bit more, and there you go. Not too bad. I thought I might also mention, a lot of people say you can use like a Walmart sack. I don't really like those because it's a little bit thinner and I don't feel like it holds the bushing in as well. So a thicker plastic like a bread wrapper, or again like this plastic that the arrows came in, is a little bit heavier. So I'm sure you could use anything like a trash bag or just about anything, but again, you just put it on there and it just seats right in there pretty easily. And there you go again. Okay, now we're going to show you how to install some pin nocks on the pin bushing. These are a little bit different. As you can see, it doesn't actually go down in the arrow, it just indexes on a little shaft there, which is supposed to be straighter and truer, and it doesn't depend so much on the end of the shaft to be straight and true. We're using our Victory X ringers here. Oops. On all nocks they have a little index tab on it. Right here you can kind of see. And normally a lot of people, they'll grab that and put that to the outside of the bow. And I always like the labels to go all the same direction. So generally I'll start with the label pointing straight up. Just no particular reason. You can make it out or in, whatever you like. But you just gently seat that on there like that. And it just slides right on. You just want to make sure it's seated all the way right there, and then you can adjust it a little bit like that. Just grab a hold, but it just seats right down. Hey guys, we're going to show you how to do a little fletching. We're using the Bonding Helix jig. I really like it. Simple, lightweight, very portable. Take it with you. And if you're using little short vanes like the Duravanes or Blazers or mini Blazers, the way they built this, you'll get the most helical out of your little vanes compared to most jigs. And you don't have to worry about left and right alignment. It's already set up for that. No problems. If you look right here on the knob, there's an indexing line. You know that's the top for your index vane. I always make sure that's right there on the top. And then depending on the size of your shaft, you may have a little trouble getting it in there if you've got great big ones like triple X's or 30X's or something, so you may have to use something different there or whatever. But you just loosen this knob and as you can see through the slot, it raises up and down to fit your shaft to have it running true to the jig. So you always want to adjust that, put your clamp back on, and sight down your shaft to make sure your vane's sitting flat and you're not too low or too high in the front. And I always put my nocks so that the label is at the very top, so that every shaft is the same when you put it in. You just have to line it up in the little grooves. Your little knot groove goes right in, and if you can see, there's a little spot right there. It just slips right in, and then it just clips in just like that. And then to load the vane, you can get this, I believe it comes with it, but I'm not sure. But if not, it's just like an aluminum tape for like ductwork or something, and it keeps the glue from sticking to your jig so much and tearing up the plastic. Every once in a while you have to take a knife and kind of run through there and break it up a little bit. But to load your vane, you just pretty simply put it in there. It's sometimes a little bit snuggish, and it looks like you're not all the way back, but if you're not sure, just kind of reach down on the fletch and pull it back. But just as long as it's seated flat and you do them all the same, you're going to be okay there. So I just usually put my finger on the front and kind of push back, and I know it's seated down right there. So then to put the glue on, let's put that down. Let me grab the glue. I like to use the quick set types of glue. You can use any brand you want. They all work pretty good. It's just what my local store normally carries. So you don't want to put a whole lot because this glue dries really nicely. But you can just kind of take and dab and smear and dab and smear. And if you can't see, you just want to make sure you can see how it's a little glossy all over the whole vane. That's mainly what you're wanting. And with this, it holds the vane in place. You don't have to worry about it. And it seats right down. And you can see these little arms. They index it from side to side. So once you go down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's about all there is to it. I believe these are here to kind of squeeze it up like that, but there you go, it stays on there. It's a pretty clean glue job, a little excess but not much, but if you can see down through there, puts a pretty decent helix on it for a little bitty vane. Okay, now we've got that one. Now we're going to take our knob, and this rotates counterclockwise, and you hear it click, so there's no doubt that's where you stop. And we've already loaded another vane in, so we're going to get the glue all ready again. Just kind of take and smear it back and forth. You can put little dots. You'll figure out how to do it. Just pretty simple. And again, you just put the back down, load it across, and we just count to about 10. That's, I think, what it recommends, about 10 seconds, and that way it just gives it a little time to seat. And I'm not really pushing down really hard, but I am putting a little forward pressure on it, and that's about all there is to that. And again, you just pull that right up real gentle, and again, you're done. And you go to the next one. And then in just a minute, you'll have them ready to go. Hey, I also wanted to make note of one more thing on these Victory arrows. Most of them now have the ICE coating, and that's supposed to make it easier to pull your arrows. And if you look right here, you can see the line. They stop before they get to the tail end of the shaft. So that way, you're not fletching on top of a coating, and you don't have to worry about it sticking or not sticking. And if you need to refletch, you're not going to mess up your coating. So I thought, well, they actually thought about what they were doing, gave you the benefits of having the smooth and slick ice coating, yet making it easy with not covering the whole shaft. for your fletching purposes. So I thought, well, that was really cool, and I would also mention that about the Victory arrows. And then one last thing, as you're going around from fletch to fletch, make sure your nock is seated down in the groove, and that's pretty simple. You just grab a hold of your arrow and push down, and you can see how it's seated up against the nock groove. They're pretty good. You just want to make sure that you do that every time before you fletch so that they line up straight and true. And one other thing, if any of you hunters use the whisker biscuit rest, one of the biggest things I found is if you take and put a drop of glue on the leading edge of the vein, just like that right there, most generally it will not tear the vein up off of the shaft where it goes through the bristles. A lot of people complain about how rough the whisker biscuit is on your fletchings and stuff, and most of the time that's what they're talking about, because it will end up ripping off a lot of the factory fletches because they don't have a drop on the leading edge of the vein. So if you'll just take a few seconds, and you can use any kind of glue you want, the platinum or Fletch Tide or whatever, it all works. Just take and put a small little drop right on the edge, just like that, and that'll keep everything glued down and working well for your whisker biscuit. Okay, and the last thing, if you see these little pegs right here, when you go to take the clamp off, if you just squeeze these together, if you watch, it kind of opens up so it slides off the vein and doesn't tend to want to pull the vein off. So that's also a nice thing. So anyway, try it. These jigs are only about 39 bucks or so. Fletch up, have fun. The last thing I normally do is I stand the arrows up on the end, try to make sure they're not touching like that one, so they don't accidentally glue each other together or anything. With this fast set glue, she's probably half a day and they'll be ready to shoot. But with the other types of glue, Fletch Tide, Platinum, stuff like that, you need to let them set 24 hours. I still prefer to let these set overnight. So if you're in a rush, yeah, I'm sure you can get by with it, but longer's a little better. So that's that. And we spent probably less than 30 minutes. If you watch some of the other videos, putting the pin nocks in and bushings in and fletching, easily less than 30 minutes to do that. I still have yet to cut the shaft and put the tips in, but that's another video. Thanks for watching. Okay, now for the final step of our arrow building, we're going to use these X-Ringer HVs, which are a nice arrow, nice fat diameter for your points. It also comes with an ICE coating, which is supposed to make it easier to pull, and it is smoother, more polished, and slicker. Victory does a nice job of stopping the ICE coating right there. You can see the difference, so that if you ever have to refletch, you're not messing up a coating, which is a great idea. So we're going to use Gorilla Super Glue to glue in our tips, and we're using the Victory 80 grain nibs. They come in a dozen to a package. And then we've got a nice handy little arrow scale, which is actually a grain scale. But I always like to check my components to make sure that they're actually what they say they are, because sometimes people mess up. So let it zero out, set it up there and weigh it, 80.7. There we go. So we'll say those are okay, and for all intents we're just doing one arrow for the video. So pretty simply, take and unscrew the cap, make sure your glue is going to come out, and put a nice little coating all around. Now you're going to want to do this real fast, because if you don't, you're going to have it stick and then you're going to be in trouble. So you just slick it in there and push it down like that and hold it for 5 or 10 seconds. And you may have a little excess come out, so I usually just smear a little. And let her set for a few hours. maybe even overnight, and you'll be ready to shoot some arrows. So hope you guys learned a little something. Thanks for letting me share with you.